Have you ever noticed how kids can love Halloween and fear it all at the same time? I mean, the costumes, the lights, the decorations. For adults, it's all in good fun. But for young kids, especially around ages 4 to 8, Halloween can feel quite scary. Between the flashing lights, the loud noises, the spooky masks, what's exciting for one child may be overwhelming for another. And that's where today's book comes in. By the way, I'm Vanessa, educator of 18 years, turned licensed kid therapist and mom coach. Today, we're talking about 364 Days Until Halloween, written by Allison Edwards and illustrated by Jennifer Zivian. Now, if you've ever read any of Allison's books, you know that she really understands kids. And for good reason. She and I have a lot in common. Like me, she's a former teacher, former school counselor, licensed professional counselor, registered play therapist, parent coach, and now an author. So when she writes from a child's point of view, you can trust that it's coming from a deep understanding of how kids feel. So in this story, we meet Kai, a young kid who is awfully terrified of Halloween. And he doesn't just dislike it, he spends the entire year, 364 days, trying to get rid of it. Month by month, he wishes away anything that reminds him of the holiday. But something changes when Kai, later on in the story, meets a pumpkin who's missing its top. And through that moment of empathy, Kai realizes that even though he's afraid, he can still help someone else. And in doing so, then he discovers his own courage. And when Halloween fully comes around again towards the very end, he's ready to face the big night. Not because his fear has disappeared, though, but because he's learned to understand it. This story beautifully supports two major SEL pillars. The first being self awareness. The character learns to identify his own feelings of fear. He says that he knows his family is annoyed by his fear, and he starts to understand that being scared doesn't mean that something's wrong. It just means that he needs to find a way to feel safe. The other pillar is social awareness. It's the ability to understand and empathize with other people, to take another person's perspective and appreciate the feelings that are different from our own. Kai practices empathy when he notices the pumpkin struggle and chooses to help, even though he's still feeling afraid himself. His act of kindness literally helps light the way for other kids who are also a tiny bit nervous about Halloween. And as many books published by the National Center for Youth Issues, this book ends with practical tips that help children manage worries on Halloween. The other thing that I really love about this book is that even though it's about Halloween, it can really be read at any time of the year. So here's some tips for counselors, teachers, and parents. First, for counselors, this story is a wonderful way to explore fear and to explore worry in a developmentally appropriate way, especially for our littles. You can pair it with a feelings chart or a bravery ladder, helping kids list the things that feel scary and practice small steps towards facing these fears. For teachers, this book not only supports social emotional learning, but it can also tie into reviewing the months of the year, since Kai's story follows each month by month leading up to Halloween. It's also a great way to integrate literacy, SEL, and calendar skills all in one very cute lesson. And for parents, it's a perfect read to help children process these big feelings around Halloween. You can use it to start a conversation about what feels scary and how together you can make Halloween a little less spooky throughout the year. The key takeaway of the 364 days until Halloween reminds us that bravery isn't about being fearless, it's also about feeling scared and choosing to show up anyway. Halloween might be full of tricks and treats, but the real magic comes when kids learn that courage grows through understanding and empathy. If you'd like to add this book to your collection, I highly recommend it, and you can find the book through using my affiliate link below. Now, if you yourself are a parent that wants to explore perhaps the fears that Halloween brings up in you, not quite literally, but more so the masks that we may wear, especially as moms, not on just Halloween, but on all days of the year, I highly recommend my podcast episode, Behind the Strong Mom Mask, which you can find by clicking the link above. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you find other books on the playlist quite helpful. And as always, remember, in a world where you're free to be anything, you're always free to be mindful. Catch you next time.